We are now live. We're a couple of minutes early, so we'll just wait until 2 p.m. So this is again, it's the Zero BS CRM live webinar. We'll be starting at 2 p.m. So just until then, if you introduce yourself, say hello in the chat, and we'll be putting up a poll for you to answer to help us understand a bit more about the audience. So I'll do that while we're waiting. And it's the same as last time. Okay, so this is just for us to get an idea of whether you've purchased the extension bundle or not. So if you can go to the polls page and just vote yes or no, that'll help us. Hi Rick, hi Destiny, and hi Marcus. Good to see everybody. Hi Tobias. This is where I get tested on name pronunciations. Hi Sean again, good to see you again. So as I've said before, we started a couple of minutes early today, just to make sure that we started on time. So I'm going to give it another minute or two for people to arrive. So hi John. Bonjour Mark. Hi Keith. So Woody's also here today. So if you've got any questions, if you just type them in the questions tab, and then Woody will be able to answer them while I'm running through the demo, and I'll jump back and forth at certain points just to catch up on any and answer any of them live. So if you've got any questions building up or you've wanted to ask for a while, just ask them in the questions tab. Okay, there's a couple more people still typing, so I'll just wait until everyone said hello, and then we'll get started. So again, welcome everyone. This is the Zero BS CRM live webinar. So what we do on these webinars is we just spend a bit of time going through the products, so the CRM core, which is a WordPress plugin. So as you can see on the screen now, this is installed and activated on a standard WordPress website. It's running on my local host. And when you're running the setup, you'll be able to choose what type of menu you want to see. So I've got it on the slimline menu. So what this has got is it gives you your own Zero BS CRM admin menu underneath dashboard, and that's where you can navigate around if you want to. And then there's also a little bit lower down there are the settings tabs. So you see you'll have contacts, quotes, but then at the bottom is the Zero BS settings, and so this is where you'll go when you're setting up the CRM. So it gives you a little bit of information about keeping up to date with the CRM, and then a link to the settings, a bit of information about where you set your tags up, and then some other areas. So this is the initial welcome page, and so this is what admin will see. But if you're not admin, you won't see this. You'll just see the Zero BS CRM side. So going back to that, when you click it, it'll take you to the dashboard. And so there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on here first in the CRM. So you install it and you won't have any data. So until you start adding data, you won't start seeing information in here. But also, if you want a bit more space to work with the CRM, you can click the logo. So you see the logo will change to full screen. If you click that, it will then move to full screen mode. So it's a little bit more room to work with. And then also under your profile, you'll see there's a welcome tour. So if you go to welcome tour, again, it will bring in the welcome wizard, and this should fire for you on the first time that you install the CRM. And it just gives you a little walkthrough of the key areas of the CRM. So it's definitely worth doing that if you've not done it already, and you can get to that via your profile and then welcome tour, and that will start it again for you if it's been a while since you've done it. So throughout the CRM, we've got little learn buttons, which gives you a little bit of information about each of the pages that you're on. and then there'll be learn more links throughout, which will take you to detailed guides. So that's just a very quick overview of what happens once you sort of like get set up and running. So just having a quick look. So Luke is struggling with sound. Is anybody else okay for audio? And Jim as well? Okay. Presume everyone else is okay. Okay. So there are some certain things you can do if you need a different way and you're not having sound. So you can either dial in, and there's other, like there's a compatibility web mode on this as well. So again, any questions, please ask them on the questions tab, because that does keep them separate to the chat channel. So the questions tab, then we can go back and it'll be easier for people to just see the questions without trying to pick them out in the chat. Hi, Michael. And okay, so I'm going to carry on with where we were up to. So we've got the dashboard. I've just been through the dashboard, and there's different areas in this. So it'll give you an overview of your contacts, and then it'll give you a view of effectively how effective you are at turning leads into customers. So we've got 624 contacts in this example demo, and we've converted 622 of them to customers, and they've made about 3 transactions each. So it's all made up data, but it just gives you an idea of what this page will give you. And then lower down, it will give you the recent activity in your CRM. So this is CRM wide. So if you want to just see what's been going on, who's been sending emails, then it'll all be in this area. And then your latest contacts. So if you're going on and wanting to pick on the latest people, then you'll see that it will tell you when they were last added. So again, because this has been demo data, you'll see that some of these have been added like 4 years ago, because we scrambled all the dates when we've been setting this up. So it just gives a bit more random nature of a CRM. So say you have different areas now. So you've got contacts, quotes, invoices, transactions. So if you are managing contact relations, then you can go and have a look at your contact list. So this is where you may spend most of your time. So it's where you'll see all of your contacts that you've added. So again, as you can see, they all fictitiously work at Zero BS CRM. So they've all been randomized, and you can see they've all got certain different values in the CRM, and it shows you when they were added. So again, we've got random dates, and then other people. So if we're adding a new contact, you click add new from this list, and then you can quickly just say, okay, it's a lead. So I'll add myself, which is what I normally do. And food preference is a custom field. And so if you're wanting to store a bit more information, then you can add custom fields. So I'll show you where you can get to that in a minute. And then down here, I'll add myself. So I've added only the basic information there of me, my name, my email, and I've left the address out, and I've not put anything in the custom field. And so you'll see here that we've got, okay, you've got the information there, and you can go back to the list, and you'll be able to see that I'm now in the list as a CRM contact. So that's how you keep track of your contacts. And you can add as many contacts as you want in the CRM. There's no limits. And if you're needing to add a bit more structure or change what you're showing, you can add tags to the contacts as you do it. So contacts and tags. And you can choose, I've already got this tag in there, so I've got a tag of me. So if I'm wanting to tag me, and I've already tagged another person as me, so I've got an imposter in the CRM. So if I go to Mike at Mike.stat, and then I go in here and I can say, okay, I want to edit this contact, and I'm going to add a tag that it's me. So then I save that. So I've got myself in there, and I'm tagged as me. And now when I go back to the list view, and then I want to have a look at who's tagged as me. So there's 2 me's, and you'll see it'll then bring up in the list the people that meet that tag. So they've got these 2 people. So Mr. Berry Pricer is an imposter. So he's not me anymore, but there's 2 people matching the me tag. So you can add as many tags as you want there, and then they can come in useful later. So I'll touch on how the tags can help. So if you want to go back to the list and be able to see the tags quicker. So without having to click each one, then you can hit the little blue icon, and that opens up your table manager. And you can say, okay, I want to see tagged. So you bring in tagged. And you can do other things like show a few more options there, a few more records per page, and you can bring in as many different fields as you want. And once you say that, you see the tags are in the little column, and then you can quickly then see who's been tagged what. So that's the customers and the tags, and I'll touch a little bit more how that gets how you can use that later on. So just jumping back to the question tab on here in the webinar. So exporting tags. Yeah. So Woody's already picked up on that one. So okay, so there's two different areas for exporting, which we will be merging into one area soon. So the area you're probably looking at is if you go to here and export, then you can then click on tags, as I was showing before. You've got two tags, and then you can say, let's export those two. So that's one area of exporting, but then there's also another area which doesn't have the same tag filters under data tools. So it's under tools, data tools, and then you can go back in and say, actually, I want to export some of the other objects in the CRM in a bit more detail. So as you can see here, you can say, I only want to take someone's first name, last name, and someone's email. But as you can see on this one, it'll export everybody. So it doesn't. You can't really do it yet with tags on this page either. So that's one of the things that we'll be refining when we come to looking at exporting. So it's likely to run from just the single contact list, because you can filter, and you can filter by tags and select, and then if I show you on here, so if I go down here and say, actually, these three people, I want to delete these contacts. So you click delete contacts. So this bulk action down here, we're likely to be bringing in export as an option. So you can delete people and you can add tags in bulk. And then in a coming version, we'll also give options there of exporting the contacts. And selecting all of the contacts in that certain criteria. So if you had a lot more than just two people tagged, then it's going to show you like the first 20, and then you could click them and click export. But that's not in the CRM currently, but that is something that we'll be adding in the future. So that's sort of how tags work at the moment. So there's a couple of areas in there where you can try and export different areas, but with one you can do it via tags, with the other you can do it customizing which fields, and we'll be bringing that together in future. So that's where tags ends, and following on from tags, you've got segments. So segments is like a more complex way of dealing with tags. So I'll show you how we do the segment. So say, let's add a new segment. And okay, so now I want a specific segment of the CRM. So customers who are me. And then I only want to look at people at leads. So anyone that's me that's a customer or a different status, then you can say, actually, I only want to look at customers with the tag of me, or you can add a lot of other conditions here and say status equals lead, date added before certain dates. So you can do all sorts of conditions here on your segments, and then you can preview. And so now there's three that match that condition. So status equals lead, there's 3 leads. So then if we go back and say, actually, status equals lead, status, so hashtag me, and status equals lead, preview. Now there's 2. So that's filtered it down. So one of the leads doesn't have that tag, and then I can save that segment. So then that gives me another thing to filter the list on. So if I go to contacts view all, and then if you click on segments there, so you can go here and oops. So you click this, and then you can see customers who are me is a segment. So I load that one up, and then I can then filter on that. So customers who are me, and it'll bring up the same people as before. So these people match the segment, and again, that comes in useful later on. So we've got a couple more questions coming in. Nope, you can't export segments yet, but again, as per the other exporting, it's sort of linked into this list view. So once you've filtered by a segment, you can then in the future be able to tick the little box in the corner and say, let's select all these, and then as before, you can have a bulk action there of export the contact. So that would be one way, but it's not there just yet. So that's the contacts object, and then so usually now I'll go on and look at quotes, but I just wanted to see if anybody wants any other areas covering instead of quotes, because we've covered quotes on the last couple of webinars, and if you're not really using quotes and invoices, then there are other areas that we could show you. So again, if you want to just type in the chat, and we will then be able to answer and show you any specific areas. And if we get no one having a particular desire for a certain area of the CRM, I'll just carry on as normal and just move on to quotes. So David wants to see mail campaigns, and so does Marcus and Sean. And Tobias would like to see tasks. So I'll start quickly on the tasks, and then I'll jump back into the mail campaigns. And David's also asked about how Zero BS can sync with Woo, specifically with WooCommerce subscriptions. So again, I'll touch on that a little bit. So I'll start first with tasks. So if you go into your task calendar, so what you've got in here, I've put an example task before of the live webinar today, and what I did on this before we set it up. So it's roughly today around about 2:45 to 3:45. I'll just put an example times in, and then I was assigned it to myself. So I'm doing this. I'm the only CRM user on this install, and I've also put a certain contact in. So this is my imposter from earlier. So you'll see there they've got a live webinar, and you can use this for maybe like one-to-one demos. You'd be able to put them into this the task calendar if you're booking in and you wanted to like run through one-to-one setups like this. And then so that's your tasks, and then it'll load up on this calendar. So you've got different views on here, but also if you go to under your little icon there in the top corner, you'll see that your task comes out. So again, when you click on your tasks, it'll show you just a list of things that you're doing in the period. So that's useful, but then say you're on contacts. So if you could remember the name of the imposter, again, it's only the second person, so it's easy to remember. And so if you're looking at Mr. Berry Pricer again, so if I go into Mr. Berry, and then you're waiting for him on the webinar or the one-to-one demo, he's not turned up, so you're going to send him an email. So let's send Mr. Berry Pricer a reminder. So you can go on here and say live webinar. Are you still around for this? And so this will send an email to Mr. Berry, and you'll see now that it loads in and it's storing the history. So if I then click on Mr. Berry Pricer, it loads in the information. So you see here that, okay, there's a live webinar, I've sent the email, and it loads in the information here. So it's a lead, it's got one task, there's one in progress, which is this live webinar. And then they'll be able to see, then you'll be able to see whether they've read the email or not, and then he should then come and remember about the webinar. So if we go back again to the tasks and fast forward in future, so we've done the webinar and Mr. Berry was happy, so we mark it as complete. So that's marked as completed, and again on your tasks, it's just circling around the task area. It's ticked, it's completed, so you don't need to worry about that one anymore. And then if we go back to the emails, so this isn't mail campaigns, this is just storing the sent emails out of the CRM. So again, if I click Mr. Berry, it'll load in, and you'll see actually, yeah, we've done that task. We had one task for Mr. Berry, and it's been completed. So this is a good way of seeing what you're doing, and just like an overview. And he's got $500 due, so he'll have a quote somewhere in the system, or an invoice in the system there that's bringing through and saying he's got some money due. He's not paid it yet, so you might again want to follow up. So that's the task area. So just jumping back. So after the tasks, so just checking in on some of these areas. Yeah, so we're covering the tasks, and people want to have a quick look at mail campaigns. Okay, so with mail campaigns, so this is an extension which is currently in the Entrepreneurs Bundle and Reseller Bundle, and we're running a beta testing group at the moment. So if you have one of those bundles, you can get access to the mail campaigns beta, and also with that, you'll keep access to version 2. So when we release the next version of the CRM with the new pricing, mail campaigns won't be in the Entrepreneurs Bundle anymore. So unless you purchase it while we're still on this current period. So mail campaigns, this is version 2 that's installed, and I'll do a very high overview because this is the beta copy. So there's likely to be areas where we're still getting feedback, and it's likely to be slightly different. So it'll show you how many emails you've sent, how many you've sent this week. And again, this is where it will link back into earlier with segments. So if you've got the mail campaigns installed, you can say, I want to run a single email, or I want to run an email sequence. So let's go for an email sequence. And then you can click on continue. And then here we say, so this is the Welcome to ZBS CRM webinar. It's a sequence that we're not going to send it on Sundays. And then you can choose what mail delivery it comes from. And then segment-wise, so from before, if you remember, we had customers who are me. I want to send it to customers who are me. So or if you don't want to use segments, you can use tags. So there wasn't much difference between customers who are me and tags who are me, but depending on your segment, they can be more detailed. So we'll do segments, customers who are me. And again, like before, you can preview the audience, so you've got the same 2 people, and then you can continue. So then this takes you to, again, the beta sequence editor. So this is, again, version 2, and you can choose which type of email you want to write. So you can start off and say, okay, the welcome email will just be the default email, and continue. And then you can just write it as you'd normally write an email. So welcome to ZBS CRM. So this is the area for making your campaigns, and then you have placeholders, and you can insert any of your contact fields from before, and you can see any like mail placeholders or any global details. So if you want to put your logo, your business name, these are all placeholders for that. And you'll see it's also got food preference. So food preference was my custom field from earlier. So you can add custom fields through settings, and then they can be used throughout the CRM. Okay, so we've got the first email, and then let's add a delay. So then we want to wait 5 days and then send another email. So that's what you can do here. So then this will be a second one, and I'm going to make this a handwritten instead of the default. It's the same thing, it'll load up, and then you can do the next email. You can add another delay, and then you can add another email, etc., etc. And then when you're ready, you can say, okay, save all and continue. And that's your sequence. So you've got three emails over 11 days, sending from me, and it sends to 2 contacts in this segment. So then it says once you start, it starts sending emails. So then any new people that join and hit that same segment will get that same email sequence. And then you can look at the summary of your sequence. So this will show you, so there's no data yet. So let me show you one because it's not sent yet. So if I jump back to one that I made earlier, again, so it was a broadcast this time. So you can do either a sequence or just a single broadcast. And then you can see, so if you want to send a product update for, say, March or October, then you can go on and you can have a look at, it was sent to 1 person. and then it'll show you where it was sent to 2 people, because this is the one I did before, and it will show you whether they've opened it and clicked it. So that's really all we can show you now on that, because the rest is just setting up your broadcasts and using it as emails. But when you are setting that up, you do need to, there's a few things you need to be aware of in the settings, and that's, so you've got mail delivery options. So this is throughout the CRM, you can say, oh, I want to send it via different mail delivery methods. So if you have a no reply, like no reply at zerobscrm.com, you can set it up that way. So you could call it 0BS news and no reply zerobscrm.com. And then you step through and say, I want to do it via SMTP. And then you've got different providers here that you could use to like auto-populate. So if you use Amazon SES, then it'll populate, but you still need to put your username and password in from Amazon. And same with any of the other SMTP settings. And then you go ahead, validate settings, and then you'll have another option when you're sending your emails out. And then you have general mail campaign settings. So how many emails per minute you want to send, whether you want to use WordPress cron or server cron. So there's a lot of different areas when you're setting up this. But it then can be used either using your mail SMTP or other WordPress mail to send your emails. So rather than like paying for something like MailChimp, you could use this instead. And you can have the power then of knowing exactly who you're sending it to, and you can see it all in the CRM. So that's the mail campaigns. Let's just jump back to see what questions we've got. Yep. So yeah, to be clear about the mail campaigns version 2, before we launch, this gets a bit confusing with version numbers. So the COA, we're about to launch version 3. And when we launch version 3, that will include the launch of version 2 of mail campaigns. And then at that point, it will be split into its own separate marketing bundle. So then, again, this is our beta, so there's some tweaks to that. So if you have one of the bundles now, then you'll continue to always keep access to the new versions of mail campaigns, and the price won't go up. But if you wait until we launch version 3 of the COA, then it will be an additional extension cost. So Michael's asked, will there be web form fills that can translate to drip email campaigns? So what you can do there, Michael, is if you set up a form that tags a contact on the way in, then that person will automatically go on to whatever email sequence you've set up that fires on that tag. So before, when I was showing the segment and in the sequences, so mail campaigns and sequences, again, so which one it was, just bringing up that one. So welcome to that one. So contacting customers who are me, this segment is running for that. And anybody that joins that matches the criterion in that segment will continue to receive the emails in that segment. If they come out of that segment for whatever reason, so then they'd stop getting the emails in that sequence. So another example for this was you could have a sequence for leads. So you could have people come into your CRM as a lead, and then as soon as they get a tag of purchased or they become a purchased status, you could have another segment there that would be customers, and it would automatically move them from one to the other based on what tag or whether they're in the segment or not. So if you set up a Gravity form or a Contact Form 7, then there are options in them to tag the contacts that come from that form. So you could have certain forms add certain tags, and then those tags could fire off their own different sequences. So that's how that would work. So it's already in there, the capability to do that. Okay, so I'll answer this one. So Rick's asked, would you please review the API extension? So again, if there is any issues that you're having with it, just let us know via the submit a ticket, and we can come back and let you know what's going on with that. So we're not quite sure what you mean. Okay, so Sean's asked about customer statuses. So I'll just run through this whole area of the settings. So if you go to settings, and then you'll see under custom fields. So this is where, for one, I added, I've got neighborhood as an address. So you can add other areas in the address if you want to. And then also I've got food preference as a custom field, so you can add as many there. And then if you go further down, you'll see you've got your contact statuses. So you can put whatever you want in there. If you don't need all of these, you could just have lead and customer, or you could have lead, customer, VIP. You could have different contacts there. And the same goes for companies and transactions. So, and then you can also choose effectively what your default status is as well. So if you add a contact and you don't pass the status, it'll go in as default. So just going back to the chat. Okay, so David's asked about WooCommerce subscriptions. So at the moment, what WooSync will do is, I've not got WooSync installed. So if you go to plugins, so syncing with subscriptions, it doesn't actually bring through the subscription data. It will bring through all of the transaction data. So once you load up the WooSync, it'll come in and say, is it on the same website or is it on an external website? So if it's on the same website, it's more straightforward. And then you just go through and say, oh, it's on the same website, so we don't need the API. You can choose some options, and then you can finish. So it's a dead straightforward setup. It's just making sure you know whether you're doing it on the same site or whether your CRM is a separate install. And this will take you to the settings and then the WooSync settings. So you can choose various order statuses. So what you see on here is if somebody orders from you, you can then have the contact have a certain status. So the default is that they all get default. So they'll all go on what the default status was before. So whether that's lead, customer, but you can choose depending on which of these status. So pending might still be leads, processing will be leads, on hold, you could also say they're sort of still leads because you're trying to get them to the order, and customer, cancelled, you can say cancelled, refunded. Again, it's not in the list, but as I touched on a minute ago, you can change your statuses to have a refunded one. So we could say refused just to save us changing it, and failed. Again, we'll blacklist people that fail. And then you can set all of this up. And there's a few other things that we've added recently to this extension is if you want to add any of the custom fields onto the WooCommerce My Account. And then you'd save that, save your settings, and then you do your sync. So it's just saving. And then you do to your WooSync. So what WooSync does is it runs through your WooCommerce orders and brings in the data. So we don't do subscriptions at the moment, but what you can see is if somebody has a failed order on the back of a subscription, then you could then set something up that says, this guy's got a failed order. That probably means their subscription's gone from active to inactive or to like pending cancellation. But as for any like further integration with the subscriptions, that is something we can look into in future. So again, if you just drop an email through to the support desk, so Woody will send a link in the chat for that, so submitting a ticket to us and just letting us know which areas in addition you'd like WooSync to cover, which aren't covered by the existing one. Okay, so Luke's asked, how can you explain the best formula to create invoices when WooCommerce is installed? So it depends how you're running with WooCommerce. So I use WooCommerce on a couple of websites myself. So what the option is in WooSync is you can have it create invoices. So say you're selling products to your store, and so you have your WooCommerce store. So that's managing your stock, that's managing your checkout processing, it's ordering your order fulfillment, so the status is before. WooCommerce does that really well. But what it doesn't do great is the invoices. So if you go to WooCommerce and settings, and then you go to emails, so under the WooCommerce, there's only an option here to manually send an invoice, and it just sends an email and says this is a copy of your order receipt. So it's not great if you want to have a bit more detail on your invoices. So that's where we recommend using something like ZBS. So it'll import your orders and details into your CRM, so you'll be able to see everything a certain person has purchased. And then so you'll be able to see here, so you got Harriet, who's purchased some ice cream. And then with WooCommerce, you can say, with the WooCommerce sync, you say automatically make an invoice for that. So it's not been set up to do that on this install, but it can make an invoice, and then that can sit in the portal. And so if you get asked by a customer, can I have an invoice for this order? And you say, you go over to WooCommerce and say, oh, okay, how do I do that? You go into orders and send effectively, we go in here. So this is an order for 20. What do I do? You go to choose action and you say email or invoice order details, and that just sends an email receipt. And then the customer comes back again and says, no, that isn't what I mean. I want like a proper invoice. And that's where ZBS will come in and to the rescue, really. So you can set up your invoices in WooSync, so it'll automatically create this. So say once you've got your logo in and all of your business information, so these are all in the settings, WooCommerce will then go in and fill in this bottom part. So what they purchased, what the price was, and then from their dashboard, like once it's saved, they'll be able to see it, download a PDF, etc. So it's just it's an easier way of answering that problem where people want an invoice from you, but WooCommerce don't do a great job of giving you the options to send invoices. Okay, so David has asked another question. Just a couple of questions. So syncing roles, so WordPress user roles to the CRM contact. So that's a good suggestion. So again, what we do at the moment is it does connect via ID. So if you go again to this person, and you see at the moment, if I edit the contact, going to go back to full screen, it'll say generate WordPress user. So what will happen in your settings, again, if you've got that set to generate a WordPress user for each contact, then with WooCommerce, they'll already be in there as a user. So it'll just sync and they'll already have a link. So let me just do that for this person. So WooCommerce, there'll already be that link. So what it will do is, I'll come back to the list. So what it does, once it's created that contact and it's done that link, I didn't mean to click back. So it will show you then here, you got this WordPress user. It's WordPress user number 2. And then what you're saying is it'd be nice to see what the user role is. So be able to like have a connection between status and role. So I guess the option there is how would that link into the part of the CRM? So we could always show what the role is, but there can be multiple roles. So there are options to have like 1 or 2 roles of your WordPress users. So that's sort of why we connect it via the ID, and then you can link it to the status of the customer that way. And just let me answer the other questions. Okay. So you stores on a separate site. You didn't want to have the CRM on the same server. We'd love for WordPress users on the store to have their roles synced or transferred to ZBS tags. Okay, yeah. So that's always how it links if it's bringing them in externally. Again, so we don't have that link at the moment with the users, but we do have the API connector, which Woody's mentioned there. So that can install on any of your external websites, and we've just added support for WooCommerce in that. So if you've got WooCommerce on website A, WooCommerce on website B and then a CRM on website C, you'd install just the API connector on websites A and B, and then that would automatically send all of your orders and transactions to the central CRM. So if someone's purchased from website A and website B, then you'll be able to see actually that person is one person in your CRM, and they've got an order from website A, an order from website B. So that's a new addition, and that's covered in the products update this month, which we'll be sending an email out about later, but Woody can also share that too if he doesn't mind. So that's fresh off the press today. Okay, so Destiny's asked about integrating Google Calendar. So again, she's asked, do we have an idea of a time frame for possibly integrating Google Calendar? So similar to, we do have the coming soon page where we list all the extensions. We've made a start on connecting Microsoft Calendar in a Calendar Pro extension. And Google Calendar, again, if people are interested in that, then please do let us know via the support. So we do have certain votes for that already, but we're doing a bit of the underlying foundations for that, first connecting with Microsoft, and then we'll be looking into the options for Google later. But it's sort of, as I showed the task management before, that's intended, again, more to be like managing tasks for contacts as opposed to being like a fully fledged calendar like Google Calendar. So it's sort of trying to get the difference between the scopes and the sort of the functionality of the two. Okay, so that Sean said you like that feature as well. I presume is that QuickBooks or is that Google Calendar? I'm guessing Google Calendar. We had a couple in at the same time. Okay, cool. So just checking back to see if there's anything else people wanted me to cover. Okay, so we've been through the mail campaigns. As mentioned, that's the beta is available for anybody that's interested that has the Entrepreneurs Bundle. And if you don't have that already, then just that alone will be worthwhile for the mail campaigns, because it's got some serious benefits over both on cost and features of like being fully linked into a CRM when you're comparing to having to use other email marketing tools. So you don't need APIs back and forward sending tags, and it's also, depending on what you use for email, it can be quite a bit cheaper than if you've got a lot of contacts in something like ConvertKit. The cost of that can ramp up quite quickly versus you can run it from your lists, and there's a lot of reasons why you do that. So that's that area covered off. So I think that's most of the areas of the CRM. So I've not looked at quotes and invoices. I've sort of not gone into detail on this one, but they're covered in previous webinars. So, and we've not added any new features to those since the last release. So are there any? So Adam does want to see invoicing a little bit more. So sure, I'll give you a very quick example. So it does need, so invoices, again, you can manage invoices for your contacts. So you'll see here that we've got a lot of invoices already in there. And if I click one, oops, sorry, that was the contact I clicked. Let's go back. Yep, so click edit. So have a look at this invoice. And it'll load up. So it's got your item descriptions, and you can see different, so the invoices, and you can add logos. So if I've not got a logo in my media library, but you can put your logo on, and you can set up your business information, and then you can assign it to certain contacts, and then you can download a PDF version or send it them via email. So is there anything in particular of the invoices, which area we wanted to see? Look, yeah, so there's those options you can do, and it will create the client portal as well. So if you're looking at sort of which features of the CRM you want, Then you go to manage extensions, and then you can say, okay, I do want invoices. I want the customer portal as well, which is where the invoices will sit. So you can create the invoices. You can add your invoice items as well. So again, if I go about adding a new one, so ignoring the fact that I've got no business information in, so you just say it's due on receipt, and I'm going to assign it to myself. So that populates who it's to. You can say whether it's for quantity or hours. So are you selling items or are you selling time? So wine tasting hours. So you can put whatever you like in here. 5 hours at a rate of $10 per hour. And then you can choose whether you want to attach anything. So if you wanted to attach terms and conditions, then you could do that. And then you can say, I want to send that along with the invoice in the email. So if people need to do that sort of thing. So then you have to save it before you can send it. And then you have these options as before. So you can preview, send. So previewing it will take you to the portal. So this it's just on the standard WordPress theme, and then you can see the invoice. So I've not got any of the company information in, or any of the personal information either. So usually these would have your business details in, but I'm just keeping it as data light as possible. So this is on the standard WordPress 2017 theme, I believe. So then, and you've got different options there. So that's how it looks on the basic theme. So, but you wouldn't really want to use a theme like this for your invoicing. So there's two other options. So you've got Client Portal Pro, which gives you a bit more information, a bit more detail on the invoices. So this is showing you where you've got, this is also our agency theme that we've got shown in these screenshots. So you can customize your different styles. You have a few more options. You can show tasks and add to calendars. So this is sort of one way to link your tasks for your customers to add them to their Google Calendar. You can allow files to be downloaded, and you can also categorize different types of files. So this is all displayed using our agency theme. So that's, and Woody we'll send a link shortly to that in the comments as well. And you've also got online payments. So with invoices, you can add either PayPal or Stripe as your payment solution on the invoices, and it's all handled via the Portal Pro. So there's a lot of information in there, and I'll put the link into that. So there's a bit of a combination of Invoicing Pro there, and then also for invoices as well. Sorry, Client Portal Pro, and then Invoicing Pro, which, yeah. So if you're wanting to take payment online, so this is how the invoice would look in the portal once you've got more data in. And again, so you've got you have your line items, and then you can pay online with PayPal or Stripe. So those are your options. And it also gives you, if you're using Stripe, another way, people can update their card details. And Invoicing Pro also has this invoice itemizer. So if you're making invoices that have the same products all the time, then you can keep track here and just insert them into the invoices quicker. So there's a bit of a combination of Invoicing Pro for easier payment online and easier managing your items, and then Client Portal Pro gives you additional options for when customers log into your client portal. Tobias has asked about the SMS button in a contact. Also David's asked about recommendations for themes to improve the look for invoices and client portal. Stripe is debit or credit card, so I will find the link for, let me get the link for the theme. So we've got a theme at the moment. Just finding the link to, and just see if Woody's sent it already. Okay, so yeah, so the features client portal we start using a bit of both in. There's a chat and questions. Can you add new choices to the customize drop down? So Woody's answering this one. How would you invoice a firm fixed price engagement? So can you add new choices to the customers drop down? Specifically, how would you invoice a firm a fixed price engagement? And so you'd handle that probably more via quotes first. So you'd put a quote in place, get them to accept that quote, and then you'd invoice them on the back of that. So they're engaging with the quote, they'll accept the quote via the portal, and then after you've done the work, then that is when you would start invoicing either via a deposit up front and a payment afterwards. Yeah, so as it affects, yeah, so this is saying if it's not draft unpaid, you do it via quotes. So you do it under the quote area. So, okay, yeah, so we are using both. Okay, okay, so are there any other questions around any other extensions? So if I just quickly run through some of our other extensions. So we've got advanced segments. So when I showed you the segments earlier, this lets you use additional fields. And so if you have custom fields, etc., you can use those to segment as well. We have a couple of integrations with email marketing. So Aweber, MailChimp, ConvertKit. And then we have things like awesome support. If you're wanting to run a support side of your business, then you'd link that in, and that's how you'd that was what was shown on the portal before. As you can see, clients support tickets in the portal, so they just look on the portal and you manage the support that way. And so we've also got automations as well, which will make some of your CRM tasks that little bit easier. And also sales dashboard. If you're selling through WooCommerce, then there's a lot of additional analysis that brings you. Okay, well, you can't find the theme link, so give me 1 second. Let me grab that for you. So at the moment, the theme we're planning to launch in the new year, but we're running, again, it's a customer. If you've already got the bundle, then you can purchase the theme at a pre-launch offer. So if you do have the one of the bundles, then let us know. Submit a ticket and we can send you the link to purchase the theme. I'm just trying to find, I'm just getting the link to the demo. So again, it's a demo, but you'll be able to see some of the styling. So there isn't really an active login yet because we've not launched it fully. But again, so that's the link to the theme. And we're planning on launching it at around a price point of $149. But again, if you want to get in early, then it's available now for $59. But that's via your customer account. So if you're interested, we can send you a link to that. If you just send us either a message in here and we'll follow up later, or if you submit a ticket to support, we'll do it that way. So this is useful if you're wanting to set up a specific CRM site and it's integrated as best as it can be with Zero BS. So those screenshots of the portal before were running from this theme. Let's jump back to questions. Okay, so Rick asked, I'm not sure I can answer this live anymore. Rick said, is there a way to add products and prices without using something like Woo? And so I sort of touched on the invoice itemizer, so you could use that. But then if you're doing products and prices and having to then start looking at stock management and all that sort of thing, it really does make sense to use something like WooCommerce for that. And even like checking out. So if you're wanting people to purchase like a basket of goods that make up your invoice, then again, there's a lot more sort of payment options in WooCommerce. So we support PayPal and Stripe, but there are lots more available in other extensions, in other products. Okay, so Tobias is looking for the SMS button. So let me see if I can find it. So first up, so once you've installed the Twilio extension, then that does give you the ability to do a couple of things. So one, you can set up in combination with automations. So I've not got it on this setup. So it does, if you have automations active, then it gives you the ability to go away and run your automation. So if you have a new contact and you want to send an SMS when that new contact joins, that you can do that with the Twilio extension. So I'm just going to quickly copy that over for you, and then I will show you the Twilio button. But there was a bug in Twilio which meant the button wasn't showing. So if you're not using the latest version, that might be why as well. So just always make sure you're up to date on if you log into your account and download the latest version, if you try that one, and then if that still doesn't work, then if you submit a bug report. So I'm just copying over those two extensions I spoke about a minute ago. So the automations, and I'm also bringing over installing the Twilio Connect as well. So then I'll be able to quickly show you what those are in the short time we've got left. Okay, so I've now installed those two extensions. So I've installed automations, which I now activate, and I've also installed Twilio, again, which I'll activate. So there's a couple of things you need for Twilio to actually show up on the contact information. So the first one is you go to contacts, and you need a mobile number to start with. So let me add one again. So go down and so in the mobile numbers there, load of sevens and save. So this should then give you the button. You'll see there's then, you've got the option of calling, and then you've got the option of SMSing. So you can call or SMS using the click to call option, or you can, if you've got Twilio installed, it'll bring you up the SMS button. So that's where it'll be, but you will need to make sure you've got the latest version and that you've got a number in the mobile telephone. But then what you can also do in automations is, as I said before, if you have a new contact that has a particular status, and then you can say send SMS. So there's an option to send SMS in there and for certain criteria. And then that lets you then send, so if you have a new contact has a certain status, then it will go away and send an SMS to that person. Okay, cool. Okay, so we are now nearing the end of the webinar. So I'll keep this open. I'll answer any couple of questions for the next few minutes. So John's asked, how do you automatically send an invoice to a customer with an invoice attached once purchase made through Woo? So they'll accrue in the client portal. So as long as they have the client portal active, then all the invoices will go there. And if you use automations, what you can do is on the back of a purchase, you can say once a new transaction is in the CRM, then send an email to the contact, and you could remind them to say in that you have this purchase. Do we have any other questions? Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left. And then, so as always, we'll upload the webinar to YouTube. So that'll be available on our YouTube channel. And if you are interested in the theme or any of the bundles, then we've sent links to purchase those. So Woody sent a link there for the extension bundles, and also more details about the features and the extensions in the CRM. Okay, thanks everybody for attending, and the replay will be sent through to following this anyway. So if you want to go back and watch me stumble through a couple of areas again, then you can do. So thanks everybody for attending, and we'll be doing another one of these in a few weeks. Okay, cool. Thanks everybody. I'm going to end now. And no problem, David. If you just send us a follow-up through to the support box as well, and we can pick up anything around the subscriptions that we didn't have the time to explore in too much detail today.